Folks, John Cordisco back again. It's another game from the tournament I just played in Lake George, New York, the New York State Open. Played over the weekend. I haven't played a tournament out of town in a very long time, since last September. So, in the first round, if you haven't seen it, go back and look at it. I did win. So we are round 2. This is the next day on Saturday. Round 2 is at 11 a.m. I am black. I'm rated about 1400. As white is rated almost 1200. Young lady. Let's see how badly I can butcher her name. First name I believe is Hana Kunamneni, I believe it's pronounced. That's about the only shot I'm going to give to that name. It's a very interesting game and it has a very interesting twist. As you're going to see, if you remember my first game, there was a problem where my opponent wasn't getting, and both of us weren't getting the 10-second delay and the second time control. Even though he was in a losing position, we had to go through a lot of hassle to put the clock back. You'll see what happens in this game. Anyway, let's get to it. I'm black. We'll go through the opening a little bit. Played a Queen's Indian. It's just something solid. I'm not big on opening theory, never really have been. Castles the other night. And I decided to do something I normally do, is d5. Now I really don't like that for one simple reason, is this bishop is biting on granite. C takes. I take with a knight. That way the bishop's not hemmed in. The bishop takes, queen takes, knight takes, bishop takes, e4. I go back with the bishop. Like I said, nothing really exciting yet going on. She goes e5. And I go c5. D takes. Thought about this a little bit. Don't really want to take with the queen because of rook c1. But, what are you going to do? We'll see. So I decided to take with a knight instead. I want this bishop bearing right down on her. Queen e2. I took the bishop. Get that light squared bishop off the board. Now mine has a little bit more power, I think. Rook f d8, I chase your rook off. Queen b4, and I think I'm doing pretty good here. Now, I looked a long time before I went queen b4. The computer that's on off screen likes rook d7, of course. Rook d5, which I looked at. That would make that rook in a really good spot. Rook a c8 to grab the file. I decided to go after something. And I got up and walked around. I have a smoker, but you get nervous playing the game, so I went inside, had a smoke. And I came back, and she traded queens by going queen c3. So I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, okay, I take here, I isolate one of her pawns. I take here, I screw up her pawns here, and isolate this one. So I did it. Queen takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, and rook d3. And it's a point advantage for me already. And I'm thinking, wow. Because I like endgames the best out of all the parts of chess. Endgames, I just enjoy them more. I seem to be better at it. Not that I'm great, but I'm better at it than my other part of my game. So she goes queen e3 to guard, and I just bring the other rook over. What I'm trying to do is get this check, takes, and then my rook ends up here, really raising all kinds of havoc. Remember, in rook and pawn endgames, active rooks are everything. Rook takes, we're right back. I'm hitting both pawns again. She guards the one, I grab the other. Now, it's an almost 2-point advantage for me currently. The only real problem I have is, if you see my king on g8 has no escape. Got to find an escape square here pretty soon. So she goes rook to d1. In retrospect, what I should have done instead, I went g6. What I should have done is just go g5. If you're going to do it, do it. Don't mess around. But I went g6. Now her rook is in. I took the pawn. She took the pawn. And I went rook c5 going after the other pawn. She went rook b7. I took. She took. I went rook a5. Now this is where I think I lose the thread a little bit. What I should do is start moving up my king and my pawns. But I go rook b2 and I go there. I don't want the pawns to be pushed anymore. I want that pawn to stay on a2. So if she brings her king over, what else can she do? And I come up and slowly but surely, and I bring my rook around, and there it is there. We'll go a couple more moves and I'll show you what happens. Right around here, she leans over and puts her hand out, and I assumed that she resigned. She said she offered to draw, but I heard resigned, so I stopped the clock, and I thought to myself, I really had a good game here. I blew it, but I can't lose this. But as she resigned, I figured, okay, maybe she doesn't know how to do this endgame, because it's really a draw for black here. So I packed up my stuff, went to look at the board where you post the results, and she had put a draw. And I said, wait a minute, she resigned. So I went to the tournament director, showed him on my score sheet where it says black won, and she signed it. And then on hers that I signed as black won, but she also circled draw both. So what we had to do was go through the entire game from both score sheets to get basically this position. So, another hassle. So I had to sit back down thinking that I had won and start playing the game again. I assumed, of course, that this was a win for black. So when she leaned over, I assumed she resigned. On the computer off screen, it shows a draw. I thought to myself, maybe that might be true. This might be drawable. But if it's either a win for me or a draw for me, of course I'm going to play on, because I probably should have played a little better earlier. But nonetheless, we started over again. I went h4. Now I'm aggravated again like the last game. King comes up. You can see what's coming here. g5. I probably should have played rook to h8. Here, what I was afraid of, that this rook would come over. And that would be the end of that. So I decided to take the pawn, king takes. Now she has to play this endgame just right in order to draw this. I move my king up, rook d2, e5. I had to start with my pawns, king b5, h3. Let it rip. According to the computer, rook c4, or excuse me, king c4, rook d1, rook d8 are all 0.00. Here's where she makes the fatal mistake, and I was hoping this would happen. Because the worst that could happen to me is draw this game. I can't lose it. There's no way. It's impossible. She goes f3. And it goes from an even game to a 1 point advantage for me. Coming up as the computer off screen is ticking away. It's a 1.5 advantage that quick. Now it's over 2.6 as the computer slowly climbs. It's a losing position. King to f4. It's lost for her. Absolutely lost. She goes rook d7. And this is where I mess up. I get so excited that this win's in my hand that there's a bunch of moves I could have made. Could have went f6. Could have went king to g3. King to g3 was probably the best. But I played king takes. And believe it or not, after king takes, it's back to 0.00. Now, I blew it. I screwed up. Rook takes, king g3. Now the computer's playing games off screen, but let's go back here. I don't know what else she could have done. Let's go back just a little bit here. My computer's playing games with me here. Let's go back. Takes, takes. Okay, now we're back. And it's completely winning for me. Absolutely, completely winning. I just didn't wait for the computer to go enough. And she's so upset. The other thing I wanted to mention was that after we put the position back and went through the whole thing, and that was another half an hour waiting, she got a whole bunch more time than she had on her clock, and I didn't object. I was so disgusted by then that she just took 15, 20 minutes to move. Stare at the ceiling, stared around. I think she was doing it on purpose. She knew it was a losing position, just to make me wait. And I thought that was pretty crappy. I don't think it was her. I think it might have been one of her parents. I'm not really sure, but anyway, rook to f5. g4. I let the other pawn go. Now I move the pawn up. And as you can see what I'm trying to do here, you'll see rook e1, king h3, rook, pawn, rook, pawn. There's no way she can stop any of it. She can check me to death, as you'll see that she does. And as my king gets closer to the rook, she can't do anything about it. d1, she goes rook here. I've never queened twice in the same game. It was kind of cool. Pawn queen, rook takes, pawn queen. Then later, she made her give me an idea. She went like here. I just went over. She went over. I went like here. I think she went here, and I brought the king in. Something like this, and this is the way it ended up. So, another game where there was a problem. But I thought to myself, that's okay. It really is. This was a really long game because she made me wait and wait and wait and wait. But the result is what I wanted. So that's 2 wins in a row for me. And I'm feeling pretty good. Pretty good. And so there it is, my round 2 game from the New York State Open 2018, played in Lake George, New York. Beautiful area. Everybody in the upper New York State, upstate New York, way up, especially where Lake George is up in the mountains, absolutely stunningly beautiful. Anyway, folks, 3 more rounds to go. Let's see how I do. Until then, I want you to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.